It was earlier last week, a Ski Rex Media fan reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you want to talk about skiing on a budget?" I was like, "I'll talk about skiing on a budget, ski trips on a budget." He's like, "Can I throw some of my own ideas?" And I was like, "Absolutely, certainly." So this week on the Ski Rex Media podcast, we talk about ski and snowboard days on a budget, and we do it with the help of a fan. Ski Rex Media podcast. How we doing, everybody? Tim from Ski Rex Media once again, and this week, as you saw in the intro, we are talking about ski and snowboarding trips on a budget, trying to keep that cost down, something we all want to do. And as I was recording that intro and biffing during that intro, I noticed, seeing myself in the camera here, that I'm not wearing the proper Ski Rex Media attire. I am definitely not hawking my own product here, not shamelessly plugging, but it does tie in. I did notice, if you know, if you've been listening to Ski Rex Media for a while, you know or you have at least heard the story, my karma story, from when I got hurt at Camelback in Pennsylvania. Had to have about, while I was skiing at Pennsylvania, I got hurt. I fell and got hurt. Needed about a month or a month and a half-ish of physical therapy, and this shirt is the one I got from the physical therapist when I finished. So it all does tie in, though one should be hawking and shamelessly plugging their own stuff. I was not paying attention when I got dressed this morning. So there you go on that. And again, for the audio-only version, for anybody who listens on Spotify and iHeartRadio and Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Buzzsprout, everywhere else that it's available, Stitcher, all those places, all linked in the description, mind you. If you'd like to use a different platform to listen to it on, there's many, and they're listed down in the description. You people don't care what I'm wearing, what I look like, what's on the wall, none of that. But for the YouTube people, you probably don't care either, but you can see it. So there you go. That's the story of the t-shirt I'm wearing. But we're not talking about t-shirts this week, and we're not talking about ski falls and ski fails this week. No, we are talking about skiing and snowboarding on a budget, saving some money on those day trips. And it's a good time because the season's starting, places are opening. The race to open was one out there in Minnesota, Wolf Creek out in Colorado, who has been first in the U.S. many times, is the first in Colorado. Canada's starting to spin lifts up there. I can't remember where, somewhere around Lake Louise, I'm sure. I can't remember where offhand, but people are getting ready. Big Snow American Dream is open and rocking. I was there last Saturday, so check out that review. There's a written form and there is a video form, a nice review and recap of that day, and that's going to be a bit through the winter, so check that one out if you would. It's an expensive sport, skiing and snowboarding. Skiing and snowboarding are expensive sports. Snowboards are expensive, but they don't have to be budget breaking. And we know that there's ways to get around that stuff. So what we have here today, and this was, like I said, or I meant to say in the intro, now I can't remember if I did, but this was, I did. That was what the whole intro was about. Anyway, this was fan submitted. Michael Brochu says to me, he got a hold of me on one of the direct messaging formats or platforms from one of the social media platforms. I believe it was Facebook and or Instagram, and all linked in the description yet again. And I love the fan interaction. We all know that. I'll talk to the fans any old day of the week. I'll ski with the fans. That's gonna happen likely. I already have a couple of heads who have said, "Hey, let's go skiing at different places on the Indy Pass." Number one hype man Tech Rob and Scooter are going to be up in New Hampshire hopefully this March. I'm going to be there over at Cannon, Indy Pass Mountain. I can't remember who it is offhand, but from Instagram, I don't think I know their real name. Isn't that weird? Said, "Hey, if you're down here at Berkshire East, I'll ride with you." And I was like, "Dude, I'm down. I'm with that." So definitely going to be meeting up with people. Definitely like the fan interaction. That was the point. And Michael here, he says to me, he's like, I listened to the program or watched the program. I don't remember which, but he says, "I know the program. I like the program, like Ski Rex Media. Could you talk about skiing on a budget?" And I was like, "Well, sure. I haven't before, but I will. I have no problem with that." He's like, awesome, because I have a few ideas too and how I do it. And I was like, well, send them to me. Totally send them to me, email them to me. I'll go through your list and we'll see. And I think what we're going to do here today is I have the list here on the phone. Boom. And he has all of his suggestions, some of which you've heard before, some of which you may be familiar with. What we're going to do is I'm going to go through. We'll see if I agree or disagree. Actually, I've already read it. I agree with everything he says, and I will elaborate and add to it. Try to pretend like I actually know what I'm talking about for a few minutes, and we'll see how we can save you some money. And then we'll wrap it all up at the end. How's that sound? So let's do this. Michael Brochu, here we go. So what he started with was travel. And we all know traveling for a ski trip definitely adds to it. Even if you do have a multi-mountain pass that you got at the beginning of the season, you can really abuse. Your travel costs are going to add up. And his suggestion, this is what he says, is I use Southwest as much as possible. You can check 2 bags, 50 pounds or less for free. If you have a ski bag, they let you have a boot bag as well. So technically 3 bags get checked for free. I do like Southwest Airlines. No lies, of the 4 times I've flown in my life, 3 of those times were on Southwest. It worked out very well. The prices were great. Absolutely. The service was great. We went to Maine, direct flights mostly direct flights to major cities, Philly to Vegas, Vegas to Seattle, Seattle back to Philly with a stop in Chicago, but we didn't have to get off the plane. Southwest, very good. Some of the best bag pricing in the business. If you go to some of the other budget airlines, they're upcharging on carry-ons, your luggage anyway might cost more, and that's how they could charge so little on, the actual ticket. If you get on there with nothing, that's great, but if you got to carry more, it could be a problem. So Southwest, I agree with that, but make sure you check all the airlines. Keep an eye on who goes where, when, and why. And he gets into that too. He says book flights well in advance. Absolutely, we all know that. I don't even fly a lot, and I know that. I don't even like to fly, and I know that. The further out you can book, the cheaper it's going to be. Absolutely do that. Absolutely do that. Book as far out as you can. Let's see. He says he uses a Southwest credit card for purchases, pays it off at the end of the month, uses the reward points. 100% one of the greatest ideas ever. And it kind of is part of, like I say, when you buy a multi-mountain pass, a mega pass, epic, icon, indie, mountain collective, whatever it is, get the one you can abuse. Similar with a credit card. If you fly or if you take trips, get the one that gets you the most rewards, miles. And then, like this one, he says he uses the branded card for the airline, so he's probably just jacking up miles. And he even does say he can't remember the last time he paid out of pocket for a domestic flight. Do your research. Know, and that's actually going to be a recurring thing, is doing your research. Know what is where. Look at everything. Get in there, dig in, really do the time. Because if you just outright buy, like, all right, I know this flight goes there, I'll take that. This room is 2 minutes away from there, so I'll take that. You're just buying, you're not going to get any deals. And if you don't know how your rewards program on your credit card works, or if, like, say, an airline, I don't remember if Southwest had it, but at least one airline had a rewards program itself. It might have been Southwest, I don't remember. Not even using the credit card, pay however you want. And then if you fly so much, you get whatever rewards points it is, and however that works. Do your research. He also says fly on odd days and at odd times. That's true. That's more, to be more specific, fly during the week if you can. But if you're booking for a weekend, try to add the day on the other side. Leaving on Thursday is going to be cheaper than flying on a Saturday. Weekends are always more expensive, no matter what you do in the service industry and the travel industry. What else does Michael say here? He also says, think about flying to an odd destination rather than directly in. His example, if you're going to Jackson Hole or Targhee, flights directly to Jackson are super expensive. Maybe go to Salt Lake or Boise and then drive in. That's 100% accurate. 100% accurate. Basically, for his travel section that he wrote down is... he used Southwest as an example, but fly fly the airline that can get you not only the cheapest ticket, but the best deal on baggage. And Southwest usually is. That's why that company exploded, because they figured out the perfect balance between ticket, baggage, destinations. We're not too expensive. We'll get you where you need to go. You can bring everything you want. Use your rewards points, so you can use your rewards miles and don't pay for the flight if you can. Fly at the right times, book in advance, and fly to somewhere that's not as expensive. Now, I at one point talked about Las Vegas as a ski town, and people say that's kind of silly. Again, it depends on where you want to go. If you want to go to Colorado, don't fly into Las Vegas. It might even make more sense to obviously, if you're going to Utah, fly into Salt Lake City. But what if you want to go to places that aren't super popular and you need a place that you could fly into cheap, probably cheaper, and can get you some of the more not so popular places. And I don't mean that to sound like a dig. I mean that to sound like, just not everybody goes there. Everybody goes to Colorado. Everybody goes to northern Utah. Who goes to southern Utah? Not as many people. So if you go to Las Vegas, you get 2 vacations in one, because you can have all the fun you can have in Las Vegas, Sin City, as they call it. I lived in Las Vegas. I didn't sin that much, maybe a little, but not much. And, but then from there you can go to Arizona and ski. You can go to southern Utah. You can ski even in, just outside Las Vegas. And like I said, I'm guaranteeing that an indoor place will go in as they get more popular. Look for the places, and again, it's all about research. Look for the places where it's not going to cost you much, even if you have to drive a little. Because some of those places you have to drive a little bit anyway. Like, yeah, in Colorado, you can fly into Aspen. I believe they have an airport there, but it's going to be easier and cheaper for you to fly into Denver and then figure it out from there. And Denver is a direct flight. It's a main hub airport out there. Do your research is what really the whole travel experience comes down to. Do it all and then book it as early as possible. Now, in the pandemic season for 2021, to 2020 and 2021, booking in advance, you're going to have to anyway, because tickets, everybody's either doing reservations, and even if they're not, they're looking for you to buy in advance if you're doing day tickets. You gotta do your research. Do it now, because the season is starting to open. And if you don't know, and even do it if you're used to doing it, don't become complacent, because things change, and we'll get back to that later. But when it comes to travel, if you're not driving, if you are driving, that may or may not be, because I'm going to be driving. I'm not flying anywhere this year. I'm going to be doing all of Vermont, that's driving, New Hampshire, driving, upstate New York, maybe Maine. Like in New England, all I do have to do is drive, and my teeny little car gets like 35 miles to the gallon. It's fine, and it doesn't cost anything to fill it up, because the gas tank is this big. I swear to you, I drink more water in a day than my gas tank can hold. It's pretty small. If I had a full-size car's gas tank in my car, I wouldn't have to fill up gas for like a month. And that's with using it. But anyway, do your research. Know your airlines. Know how to use your travel miles, your credit card miles. Look for those rewards programs. Always look for rewards programs. People ask, should I get the rewards card? If, like, in casinos, like, I don't go much. Get the rewards card, because as long as you're earning them, you can use them. Even if you're not there a lot, you're earning it slow, you're still getting something back. So anyway, travel, do your research. Use the cheaper airline if you can, if it goes to where you're going. As Mike said, Southwest has the best baggage deal in the country. But because you may be a rewards member to a different airline, or your credit card does something, maybe you can get a better deal. Do your research. Lodging, we're going to talk about next. And Mike says lodging, staying directly on the mountain is a cool experience, but again, very expensive. And he's not wrong. You are paying for convenience to stay on the mountain, or you're paying for wicked awesome amenities. You know what? Those places on mountain are typically a little bit higher end and are awesome. Like, I've worked in them, and I've been in them, and they're great. But, if you're trying to save $1 or $2 or $10, look into places off the mountain. He's not wrong. Now, he says he usually books through like something, they rent through like Airbnb or HomeAway, and booking early as possible. And that's for anything. That's for flights. That's for rental cars, which he doesn't talk about. But rental cars, again, if you book in advance and only get as big as you need with the rental car, if you don't need the SUV, don't get it. Get the little economy whip. It's all you need. Yeah, it may not have a ski rack, so you might be jamming them in with you, but they'll fit. It's a little uncomfortable, but they will fit, and it will save you a couple dollars, and on gas too. But yeah, if you've used Airbnb, you can get some really good ideas. HomeAway, I don't know anything about. Book as early as possible. The search is great, and then you can get full kitchens and anything you need. It's true. Booking through those places will usually get you a better deal. And then again, that one is, again, the research comes in is like, it's not always cheaper to rent the house. There are houses, like when we worked at Mount Snow, we heard about the condo rentals. Some were good priced. Some of the houses, though, were not. Well, maybe good price for the house. I'm talking like $1,200 a week. Like if you came up on the holiday week, you were paying $1,200, $1,500, $2,000, high-end joints. The condos were never as much. But when you're going to rent, unless you're looking to stay in the lodge, looking to get that experience and just want a hotel room, or what amounts to a fancy hotel room, get off the mountain if you can. And a regular hotel room is a fine. Again, it depends on how you travel. I know that. There's always going to be, I have a family of 6. Myself, my spouse, and 4 kids, all of our gear, and then you're not saving any money anyway, but these tips still help because you're paying, if you can get as many bags on that plane, yeah, you're still saving this money, so you're still saving that much. So all kidding aside, with the big family, you can still save. And with lodging, again, he's right. Book in advance, stay off the mountain, get the simple hotel, look on Airbnb. Airbnb doesn't just have whole houses, mind you. You can rent a room for a weekend, just a room in somebody's house. Now, that may or may not be creepy. I don't know. That's up to you. I may or may not do it. But I don't have to as long as I'm skiing in Vermont. But that we'll get back to that at the end, what I think. But so for lodging, he's not wrong. Get off the mountain. Go around the mountain. Look at Airbnb. Look at a place. Like if you need a full-size house, look at Vrbo. Look at these discounted travel sites for rentals. And that'll help you out a lot. You could maybe rent a house for less than a hotel room. And in that, you have your full kitchen, which means you're cooking for yourself, which, yeah, I like to eat out too when I'm at these places sometimes. But if they have a cool restaurant or something to check out, but cooking for yourself saves you tons of money. You shoot down. It doesn't necessarily save you time because there are a lot of people who are doing that, and the local grocery store might not be as big as a city grocery store. So you're knocking off each other and throwing elbows to get through. And it could be a bit of a bitch when you get in the night you get in, but it'll save you money. Now, the big one, I think this is the big one. He's talking about lift tickets. And Michael, our fan submitted, the fan who submitted his ideas, and he says lift tickets obviously buy through Epic, buy the Epic Pass, Icon Pass, Indie Pass, but day tickets you can save. Now his example is he's used Liftopia and saved about 25%. You can do that. The trick here, again, with tickets is to really do your research. He said use Liftopia. Check it out. They can sell at a discount. Look at local ski shops. Sometimes they have discounted tickets. Look at local anything. Well, he actually has this is a good one. This is Michael, mind you, this is from his email. When I was a dirtbag skier back in the day, my buddies and I went to Colorado for a few weeks. We used to buy our lift passes at the grocery store in town, and they were much cheaper at the mountain. Now, and then he goes on to say, not sure if they will do this, if they still do this because everything is online now. This is true. Modern day has changed things, but there are places, the local sporting goods store, the local rental shop, off mountain, anything. You can get better deals on tickets. Those tickets are put out to them for like promo deals or whatever deal they have with the mountain. Do the research, look around, see what you can get, know where you are going. But obviously, if you buy early and you can abuse it, get your multi-mountain pass. The Indy Pass, that's the one I'm using. This year, if I can pull off all the trips I intend to, if I were to do the math on day tickets, I'll be skiing for like $10 a day. $10 a day. I threw out the $200 up front. I'll be down to like, but when you do the math, I'll be like to $10 a day or less. And you can do that with Epic Icon Mountain. You can do it with all of them. Just, take your full price, divide your, the number of days you actually went. That's your per day, similar to a day pass. Look for sales as well. If you're going more than one day, multi-day passes are usually discounted anyway. You buy 3 tickets at once, they're going to cut you a deal. If you, watch for promos, if you buy early in the season for later in the season, like you buy a 6-pack in September that you can use in December and January and February, March, those day tickets are going to be less. Get in early and always go to the website and look, read everything, read every last thing, and see what you can get. There's plenty of places. Plus, there's a lot of online, like he said, Liftopia. I think they just had that issue with the Chapter 11 or whatever, but I think they're still running, so that's something. Maybe someone bought them out. I didn't really keep up with that because I've never bought through them. I've always had, well, here's the way I saved money. I had friends who worked for mountains, and, one mountain in particular would give employees a few passes, a few day tickets every year. So I would come up and I'd abuse those because I had a lot of friends who didn't have friends who skied. Not everybody has ski friends, but they worked at the mountain. So they're like, Tim, you coming up this year? I got tickets. And I was like, I'll take your tickets, dude. We'll hang out off the mountain and then I'll go skiing with the other friends, while we're there. Always look to see. And mountains have promo deals all the time. Follow your favorite mountains on social media. Absolutely. And check in. If you don't see it in your social media feed, check in every couple of days because they might have some kind of crazy promotion where they're going to be like, you know what? It's whatever day. Maybe it's their Founders Day, whatever it is. Everything 50% off. Keep an eye out for it. Rentals he brings up next. Rentals is the same thing. You can get rental deals from the mountain, but it's usually cheaper to, and he says this and I agree with it. If there's a local rental shop off mountain, you're going to get a better deal. If you are going to ski enough, look into season leasing. That's a great deal. You get the gear, and usually when you lease for the season, number one, you don't have to keep going back and forth to the rental shop. You go at the beginning of the season, pick it up, and then usually that shop will throw in maintenance and tuning throughout the season. So when you need wax and edge, you can just take it there. They'll do it, hand it back to you, and you're on your way. Lease before rent if you can. If that's not, because that's not good for everybody, because not everybody goes so much that they need skis, in hand every minute. Like I own my own stuff, but when I was before, I just got back onto skis, but when I was doing it often enough where my own stuff made sense. But renting skis can save you on other things. You don't have to store them. You don't have to maintain them. You just rent them for the day and go about your business, give them back. It can save you money in other ways. And you don't really want to buy, there's a lot of, some people say this is right, some people say it isn't, but if you have kids, if they're growing like a friggin' beanstalk, just jumping up there, you might have to replace their gear. Their foot gets bigger, their boot doesn't fit, their pants and jackets don't fit. Kids grow fast. Sometimes you can't buy for them and not have to replace every single year, whereas an adult, you're done growing. So unless you destroy something or damage something, you might not have to replace it or really wear it out. So kids renting in the long game might be cheaper until they're old enough to buy, and you buy something straight up. But rentals, he's right. Go ahead and if you can rent off mountain. It's more convenient. Michael here even points that out in his email. Michael Brochu, fan of Ski Rex Media, fan submitted content today. He says, it's more convenient to rent on mountain because you just go to the mountain and you're there. But if you can rent off mountain, local shop, do it. you'll definitely get a better deal. And then look into the leasing option if you can. And then if you want to, I bought, my ex-wife bought a pair of skis because she didn't do it as often as I did. We didn't always go together. So we had a pair of skis that we picked up from, they were leased that season, and we just happened to be up at the end of the season. They're like, you want to sell? We were in a shop looking for something else, and they had a pair of skis. It was in decent shape, and I got them for like $50, like with bindings, like it was, and boots too. Actually, yeah, we got out of that deal used, but in good shape for less than $100. So it worked. What else we got here, Mr. Michael? He says to save money. That's what we're talking about, saving money. He also says join a ski club. Now, I don't know much about ski clubs. I've never joined one. I don't know many people in them. They do have their advantages. You can get cheaper day tickets out of them, and they always have deals with, not always, I guess I shouldn't say always, but they have deals with the local mountain or the mountain that they are on, and all kinds of other benefits. That one I can't speak to. He says join a ski club. He's not a member, but he's thinking about joining. They usually have group ski trips set up that are all inclusive. Most also have a payment system, so you don't have to dump all the cash at once. Everyone he has talked to has nothing but good things to say about it. Again, not something I'm familiar with. I know a little bit about a little bit. I've known I haven't really known anybody. Like I was about to say, I've known people, but I really haven't. Now that I think about it, I haven't known anybody who's really been, nor known them really well, I should say. I hear they're great. Check it out. I understand the ski club business model better than the private mountain business model. So check that out if you're into it. There's not much I could say, but Michael says it's a great way to save money, and he's been looking into it. So maybe you all check that out too. Let's see. Now he gets into meals. Now eating at the mountain is expensive, but eating on any vacation is. If you go to the high-end mountains, restaurants are ridiculous, really priced, well worth it probably sometimes. The food is good, but it's expensive. And then if you eat at the lodge, no matter if it's one of the high-end resorts, if it's a small resort, if you just get a burger at your local just rope toe only joint, it may be good, but it's still going to be a high-end or a higher resort price. Only two ways to beat that. Number one, if you rented a place with a kitchen, make your own stuff for your breakfast and your dinner. But if you're eating lunch, just carry it with you, man. There's nothing cheaper than throwing a sandwich in your backpack, and then you pick the sandwich you want. I personally prefer peanut butter sandwiches. Why? Because they don't go bad nearly as fast, and the cold doesn't affect them. And I just really like peanut butter, but bring your own lunch. No, there's nobody's going to say anything about it. You don't even have to go in the lodge really at that point if you don't want to. You can just post up on a chair and a bench outside and have a little picnic by yourself, or do it on the side of the hill if you want. Just stay out of everybody's way. Be safe. Bring your own lunch, man. Well, Michael says he also does the tailgate thing sometimes. I've never been big into that. By the time I get to the parking lot with a lot of my friends, we've either went immediately from the slopes to the bar, and then drinking is just like with meals too. If you drink at the bar, you're going to spend a lot more than if you go get beer and take it back to your hotel room, your condo, your house rental, wherever, your whatever it is. You're going to spend a lot, you're going to spend a lot more. Eating's the same way. And it's like I said, lodge, I worked in food services, ski mountain. I saw those prices, over the years go up and up, and you could be spending just for yourself $15 or more, 20 depending on where you are, and even more than that. I've heard. I don't know if it's true, but I've heard about it. So definitely throw your own lunch, especially in the COVID-19 season. Everybody's going to be having limited services. Lodges are going to be, limited, and they might have like food trucks and stuff outside, and but there's still going to be the lines. It's just easier to, throw a sandwich in your bag and then go, and make sure it's something with a little bit of carb, a little bit of protein, keep the energy up. I'm not a nutritionist, so I don't know if that's right, but check it out. All in all, what Michael was saying about travel, the way you use the airlines. He did suggest one airline in particular, Southwest, but it's not really so much which, but how. And the how comes down to using your research. If you want to ski on a budget, man, do your research. Because if you get in and do it early, The quicker you book things for travel, lodging, cars, if you need a rental car, things like this, the earlier you book, for the travel portion mostly, the earlier you book, the better, and that includes lodging, the better deal you're going to get. For tickets, if you ski enough, get the pass. And that includes if you don't plan on going to like getting an epic pass and skiing every epic mountain, or getting an Indy pass and skiing every Indy mountain. If you just go to your home local mountain, man, get the season's pass. It is a heavy outlay. I know it is. I know that sometimes these passes can be $400, $500, $1,000 or more, and not every year has a payment plan. And I know that, but if you can swing it, get the season pass, especially if you can abuse it. Because once you get to the end of the season, you do the math, you skied for $5 a day. Yeah, it was a large outlay, but it did save you money in the end. Do your research. He did talk about gear and rentals. Like I said, rentals, and I agreed with him. Rent off mountain, you'll get a better deal. It might be less convenient, but you'll save a couple of dollars. And if you buy, you'll save even more on the long run. Tim, I bought a brand new pair of skis for $800. It's like, how often are you renting though? And if you are done growing and you can take care of your gear, that pair of skis can last you a few years. You will save money in the long term. That's really where the money is saved in skiing and ski trips. What Michael was talking about mostly was like a specific ski trip, or the ski trips one takes throughout the year. Go beyond that. Think about how you can save money in the long term, and that's where you'll save the most. Again, the mega passes, if you can abuse them. Buying gear when you will keep using it, and then know when to buy your gear. Again, research. Before the season starts or end of the season clearance, get it and know what you need. This is where the research also comes in. If you don't need a high-end brand name pair of racing skis, don't buy them. A simple set of all mountain skis might do you just fine. Get those. And then get them at the end of the season. Don't worry about if you're in, say, 2022 buying a pair of skis that you got on clearance at the end of this current season that's coming up. Don't worry about that. Nobody's going to notice. Skiing, some people can look at a pair of skis like others can look at a car and tell you the model year, the model name, where it was made. They can do that. But there's so many pairs of skis, it's not easy. And to see them just on the snow, not a lot of people do that. Don't worry about the vanity. That's another way you can save money on a ski trip, is don't worry about the vanity. You don't necessarily need name gear for everything. My goggles aren't a brand name. They're not. They're cheap goggles. My gloves are brand name, but I got them on clearance. They're a set of Burton gloves. I got them for nothing on clearance. My pants, they might have been a brand name a few years ago, but they're not anymore that I'm aware of. Got them for nearly nothing. Look for the sales. Look for the ski swaps. Do your research. That's really what it comes down to. Like, I could tell you all day, and I'm not sure if I've done that. Maybe I haven't done the best job with telling you how to run a budget ski trip. But in the end, do your research. Do it before you go. Do it now. Even if you've done it, you can become complacent. Like, for instance, when for a while, a buddy of mine, we would come back up to Vermont. We would go ski Mount Snow in Stratton. That's where I skied when I was a teenager. That's where I grew up. So we would come back up and ski there. I had friends who still worked there. We got tickets for cheap. You want cheap tickets and passes and stuff? You got two ways that most people don't think of, and definitely aren't going to work for everybody. Have friends who work there, or go to work at the mountain yourself. You can work at the mountain yourself. You won't have as much ski time because you can only ski on your days off, but you don't have to pay for it, so it doesn't matter. You get your pass. But anyway, found out one of my friends, his wife, her aunt and uncle had a house in the same town I graduated high school. We could use that for nothing. Have high friends, or have low friends in high places. Look for deals. Like, if you can bum something off of somebody, do that too. Like, if you're a friendly social person and you don't mind couch surfing with strangers, you don't have to pay for lodging. You really don't. In fact, I think I know people around I could probably do that with. I don't know if I would, because I live a couple hours away from mountains. I can drive back after a day on the hill. It doesn't matter to me. But for further away, couch surf a little bit. But the point was, if you know people, and there's other ways to say, but the complacency, that's where I was at. But we got complacent. We knew we used it every time. And the first year we didn't use it. And I didn't go on this trip. This was when I was hurt. The physical therapy shirt, when I was in physical therapy, I couldn't go on the Vermont ski trip. I got hurt. My friends, they had a little rough time booking it, I think. I don't know if that's true. I don't really remember if that's the time I'm thinking about. But somebody had a time, and it didn't work out quite the way they had hoped. And, because we got so complacent, it's like, wow, we have to book something, and we have to get back in that mindset. So don't become complacent. Do your research, and you'll get out cheaper. Skiing and snowboarding are expensive. You're never going to get out super cheap, but you can get out much cheaper. And you can show people the receipts and say, yeah, it's really not that expensive. It's pricey, but you can get away with it. It's tolerable. You can make it tolerable. How's that sound? We talked about travel. We talked about lodging. We talked about a few things. I hope it worked out well. If you have more tips and tricks that you like to use, like I said, do your research. Have friends at the mountain. Know what you need versus what you want. All of that. Know how to use your credit card and abuse your reward system and abuse your ski pass. Know how to do all that and you'll come out okay. You know what I'm saying? If you have tips and trips as well, leave them in the comments of the video version or email SkiRex Media, SkiRexMedia 4 ever at gmail.com, link in the description, and all of the social media accounts also in the description. Okay, check those out. But if you're listening to the audio version in the car, do not check it out until you get a chance to stop. Then you can contact SkiRex Media. How does that sound? Thank you for watching, or thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, and I hope you did, please tell me that too in the comments or anywhere else. Just say you liked it, or on social media, tell me you liked it. And please subscribe in all places. Become a follower on the social media and the YouTube channel and or the audio version places. All right, check all that out. Subscribe so I know you like it. I hope you do. I hope you got a kick out of it, and I will talk to you on the next one, and I will see you, or you can see me for the recaps, because the season started and I've been skiing for the first time in many years, and I'm hooked again, and I'm going to be doing it all winter. All right, thank you for listening. Try and save some money. Thank you to Michael Brochu for his suggestion for a topic and for his help on the topic. If you want to suggest something, all the different ways to contact it. If you want to add something to it, fan submitted content, we can do that too. I'll get you on, or we can maybe do. You don't have to be famous to do an interview. Me and Rob aren't famous, and we've done interview. He did an interview here. I went to someone else's, Highfalutin Ski Bums. I did their show, and I'm not famous. You don't have to be famous. Maybe we can hook you up and get you to talk on the old program here. How's that sound? Thank you anyway again for watching, everyone. That was a really long closing. But thank you again, and I will see you out there, and I'll see you on the next one later.